Strong-arm quarterback John Elway faces a giant task today as he tries to elude a punishing posse of New York defenders, led by outside linebackers number 58 Carl Banks, number 56 Lawrence Taylor, that have stopped opposing quarterbacks in 3 consecutive games. Danny White, Ron Jaworski, Tommy Kramer, all KO'd. Meanwhile, Giants veteran quarterback Phil Simms will be the target of Denver's destroyers. Number 77, Carl Mecklenburg, and number 75, Rulon Jones. Between them, they have 21 sacks this year. The defensive traps are set. The Broncos and the Giants. One will escape today with a 10-2 record. National Broadcasting Company presents the National Football League. Today from Giants Stadium, it's the first place Denver Broncos and the first place New York Giants. Today's action brought to you by Mazda Cars and Trucks. The more you look, the more you like Mazda value. By Bud Light, everything else is just a light. And by Harris Corporation and their Lanier Business Product Divisions. Lanier, we're easy to use. Giants Stadium sold out on this November afternoon, 76,000 plus at East Rutherford, New Jersey, to see 2 quality teams, the Denver Broncos and the New York Giants. Hello, everyone. Dick Enberg with Merlin Olsen. Oh, it's great this time of the year. 5 games to go. They have it boiled down to 2 teams. Well, at least their fans feel these are 2 Super Bowl candidates. The Denver Broncos, their lead has shrunk in the West to 1 game over the Raiders. They're 9-2. Are the Broncos, and the New York Giants in a dogfight with Dallas and, of course, with Washington.
Dick, I think neither of these teams would be 9-2 without great performance by the defense. The backbone of both of these teams, a powerful and crushing defense.
But you favor the Giants. Why?
I think the Giants have 2 big things going for them today. First, the fact that they're on their home turf. This is their stadium and their crowd. I think if this game were being played in Denver, they would probably be favored today. The other thing they have going for them is a better balance on offense. And you tip that balance in favor of number 20, Joe Morris. That great little running back who is number 2 in the NFL.
Morris and the Morris family all bubble over Jamie Morris, the younger brother at the University of Michigan, over 200 yards rushing yesterday for the Wolverines to lead Michigan to the Rose Bowl. John Elway, tremendous start for the Broncos. And still plus 6 touchdowns over interceptions. But in the last 5 games, Elway has been cold. Only 2 touchdown passes, 5 have been intercepted.
On the other side of the field, Phil Simms with the unenviable task of matching up with the NFL's most sophisticated defense. They have been known to throw as many as 50 looks at you in a single game.
The hometown Giants will get the ball first. Rich Carla signals he's ready. Solomon Miller, Phil McConkey at the other end for the Giants. At the 8. And McConkey is drilled at the 26-yard line. Carl Mecklenburg, and we're going to feature the defenses because they've been prominent this year. In fact, between them, they're only 4 yards apart in allowing rushing and passing yards. Rulon Jones, Greg Cragen, Andre Townsend, the front 3. Ryan and Mecklenburg, Hundley and Jackson, the veteran Jackson, outside linebacker in the back 4. Louis Wright and Mike Harden. Harden has 3 touchdowns this year. Dennis Smith and Steve Foley. Foley, the all-time Bronco interception artist. Maurice Carthen is hit in the backfield by Louis Wright at the 21-yard line. So they go away from Morris to Carthen, figuring the Broncos might be zeroing in on number 20, Joe Morris, but Louis Wright not fooled a bit. Here is the offense for the Giants, led by Phil Simms out of Morehead, state of Kentucky. Joe Morris, back-to-back 1,000-yard rushing seasons. Never been done by a Giant. Carthen joins him in the backfield. Bobby Johnson, Stacy Robinson are the wideouts with Mark Bavaro, the tight end, and there's the offensive line. 2nd down and 15. Morris gets away from Mecklenburg and ducks out to the 29-yard line, where it will be 3rd down and about 8.
Dick, we'll see a lot of jumping around today by the Denver defense. Not only will they show you a lot of different fronts, but very often, just as the quarterback is audibling, they will jump back and forth, trying to create confusion, trying to create some hesitation on the part of that offense.
Rulon Jones, one of the key figures. He's moved from left side to right side, where he and Mecklenburg are lined up. Usually they are paired on the left side of the line. This time they attack from the right. Sims, running room. He's going to be close, but might have been hit shy of the 1st down. Chasing the play was Rulon Jones.
He gets a favorable mark. That's going to be very close to 1st down yardage.
Simon Fletcher, number 73, credited with the initial hit.
We're going to see both quarterbacks running, because one of the things that both of these teams do very effectively is to pressure the quarterback. And anytime that quarterback begins to run, you know that there might be an ugly collision at the other end of it.
Either 4th down and short, or the Giants get another 3 downs on Sims' scramble. Mr. Foley in our view. And it is short, apparently, by about 1 link of the chain.
Well, an interesting option. I don't think Parcells is going to gamble, or is he? No, he is a conservative coach by nature. You saw the mark there, how close it was. And if anything, Parcells will play the odds. That's one thing that he believes in, and his team is typified by that. A very conservative offensive and defensive style.
Sean Landeta, 45.3 average. Second only to Stark in the National Football League, and he's second in net as well to the Colts kicker. Gerald Wilhite had a 70-yard touchdown return against Kansas City last Sunday. He stands way back in respect to Landeta's power inside the 20. A lot of adjustments on both lines as Denver winds up with 10 men on the line of scrimmage. Beautiful kick. Wilhite at the 7. 20 and out to the 23, and he had a couple of blockers ahead as Gerald Wilhite finally dragged down by Robbie Jones. A 58-yard punt and a 21-yard return.
Landeta out kicking his coverage on that play, and there was just one man between Wilhite and open spaces.
George Martin, Jim Burt, and Leonard Marshall, the front 3 of the Giants, and these big, strong, tough linebackers, Banks, Reason, Carson, and the All-Pro Lawrence Taylor. Mark Collins gets to start, the rookie at one corner with Perry Williams at the other. Hill and Kennard, the safeties. Elway dumps it off, incomplete to Sammy Winder. Carl Banks out there to cover. Offensively, Elway has Winder and Wilhite in the backfield. You know Steve Sewell is injured, may not make it back to the playoffs. Vance Johnson, very fast, and Steve Watson, the possession-type receiver. Clarence Kay, a blocking tight end, number 88, back after a 1-week suspension. Dave Studdard, Keith Bishop, Bill Bryan, Paul Howard, Ken Lanier, the front line.
3 of those 5 on the injured list this week, Dick.
Screen to Winder. But when you throw a screen that high in the air, you know it's doomed. It has to be a little quicker than that. And Perry Williams, number 23 at the corner, matched the 23 of Winder, the receiver, and it's a 1-yard loss.
Talking to Mike Shanahan, who helps coordinate that offense for the Denver Broncos, he said the thing you don't want to do against the New York Giant defense is get yourself in that long yardage must-pass situation. And here they've done it immediately on their first opportunity with the football.
Well, the first 2 passes both went into the left flat. That's Lawrence Taylor's side of the field. Perhaps anticipating Taylor on the rush, trying to throw over him. Elway guns the ball, and what a catch by number 80, Mark Jackson, the rookie from Purdue, and a first down at the 42. Jackson barely had turned his head to see the ball and snared his 23rd of the year.
We'll talk many times today about Elway's arm strength. Without that great arm, he probably could not have completed this pass. Jackson turning into coverage. Elway doesn't care. 3 Giants, but that ball thrown so accurately and so powerfully that none of them had a chance to react to it.
The initial first down of the game at the Denver 43. Just underway. The Giants at 9-2 and the Broncos 9-2. Winder into the teeth of that blue jersey defense, earns a couple. George Martin and company there. This is Joe Morris that we're
working on his hand, it looks like. Perhaps the fingernail, or perhaps the... It's not good news. No, contact lenses. There you go. Oh, all right.
The mirror was the giveaway.
There, we got it. They look like his hands were working under that towel.
2nd down and 8. Center screen to Winder. Good block, 50. And he has what appears to be a first down at the 46 of the Giants before Lawrence Taylor, 56, and 58 Carl Banks can bring him down.
This is the kind of play that the Broncos love to throw at you. Just a little dinker out of the backfield, but it'll drive you crazy. The Giants defense dropping deep. Sammy Winder just takes that ball in, and of course that's like a handoff. Only he doesn't have to cope with the defensive line. He's already beyond them.
Winder cut down in the backfield by Carl Banks. And in many ways, Banks, 58, resembles Lawrence Taylor in size, 6'4", 235. He's very fast, living up to his #1 draft status out of Michigan State a couple of years ago. It was his punishing hit on Danny White that put White out with a fractured wrist. First look at other scores. Cincinnati ahead early. Pittsburgh leading 7-0. Safety for the Patriots against Buffalo. Second and long. Elway. He slides in at the 49-yard line. Just got away from Lawrence Taylor right on his heels.
This is the kind of pursuit, the kind of punishing pursuit that Elway will run from all day long. Lawrence Taylor, no linebacker in the league, comes harder and faster after the quarterbacks than Taylor.
Well, the man who played the Yankee chain at Oneonta is using that fadeaway slide. When you go against an aggressive defense like theirs, trick is trying to keep them guessing. When am I going to be running or running to be passing? Well, he was running that time for his life.
No question about it.
Down the middle, complete again, and a first down at the 34-yard line. Again, it's little Mark Jackson, the 5'9" wide receiver who was the top target of Jim Everett with the Purdue Boilermakers last year. And, of course, we saw Everett last week debuting as a Los Angeles Ram very impressively.
Jackson got his opportunities earlier in the year when Vance Johnson went down with an injury, and has really been a pleasant surprise. The Broncos now able to put both Johnson and Jackson into the lineup and give you great outside speed in 2 positions.
Well, you saw the good concentration of Jackson. He actually caught the back end of the ball. On first down, complete to Steve Watson. They've not been able to find Watson the last 3 games. He had only 1 catch in the last 3 outings. Makes a good reception there, 11 yards and another first down in front of Perry Williams.
I asked Dan Reeves about Steve Watson. I said, what's happened to Watson? He's kind of disappeared. He said, that's our fault. We're not getting things done offensively. Well, in this first drive after a shaky start, Elway using that gun of his to equalize things with this New York Giant defense.
7:45 remaining in the opening quarter. An impressive drive led by Elway's arm. That's Mobley, the tight end. And the give inside to Winder for short yardage. Harry Carson tripped him up right at the line of scrimmage. You saw they kept Mobley in, the tight end, anticipating Lawrence Taylor's presence. And Mobley was looking for number 56.
Actually got a chance to get a little bump on Marshall, as Marshall shot to the inside. But I tell you, the thing that's tough about that Giant front wall is not only are they big, but they have great speed all along that front as well.
No gain, 2nd and 10. Elway throws that one out of bounds. Clarence Kay, the nearest white jersey. One of the Giants leaning forward, but no flag. Able to get back.
Marshall out of his stance, but those Giant defensive ends, Dick, play about a half a yard off the ball. And that meant that when he started forward, he didn't get into the area of encroachment.
Elway sends Watson left and Jackson right. Sampson split left and Wilhite in the slot left. Elway's 5 for 6 in the drive and can't find Vance Johnson. Broken up nicely by Elvis Patterson. And the field goal unit, Rich Karlis, comes on.
Patterson one-on-one on Vance Johnson, and that pass cut off short of what could have been a first down. Even if he had caught this football, I don't think they would have come up with the first down. You can see the velocity on that football. Elway is not an easy quarterback to catch. He's a test for those receivers.
It'll be between 40 and 41 yards for Karlis, who has missed only 4 of 14 this year. Kubiak to hold. And the Broncos take the lead on a 40-yard field goal by Rich Karlis. Timeout, 6 minutes and 46 seconds remaining in the opening quarter. A long drive led by Elway. Broncos come away with the lead. He's been a terror, Lawrence Taylor, and leads the NFL in sacks this year with 16 and a half. That is a Giant record, but we must remind you that they've only been keeping official sack statistics for a few years. If you want to go back a few years, you can find that Jim Cabbage of the Giants back in the 60s had 25 sacks in a 14-game season. But those were unofficial in those days. Solomon Miller ripped down at the 23-yard line on a solid hit by Darren Como.
Como, the leading special teams player of these Denver Broncos. That was a pure knockdown.
Como out of Arizona State. And the Sun Devils on their way to the Rose Bowl against the University of Michigan.
You never want to pick at a successful drive. The Broncos able to put 3 points on the board, but they have not been able to run, and I don't know if you can make a living all day long against this Giant defense throwing the football exclusively.
And you feel that the Giants will be able to run with Morris, and they'll probably test right now. And here he comes. Little Joe wrapped up around the ankles after a gain of a couple. Morris, who played at Syracuse, broke all the rushing records of Larry Zonka, Floyd Little, Ernie Davis, and Jim Brown. Only 5'7", 195. He gets it again. Whipped down and picking up only about a half yard or so. There to secure the tackle was Carl Mecklenburg, number 77.
No huddle. They're quick counting it on the line of scrimmage, trying to keep Denver from getting back into that defensive huddle, Dick.
So Phil Simms in a hurry-up offense, in essence. Third down pass. Over the middle, wide open Bavaro. And the tight end has a first down at the 41-yard line. 15 yards.
They're saying go right back to the line. What they're thinking is here is they're going to try and keep Denver from substituting defensively, make them call their defenses audibly, try and take their defensive package away from them.
Broncos would like to use a lot of different sets, and the Giants trying to keep them at least with the same 11 men on the field. Joe Morris dragged down, Tom Jackson, 57, and Ricky Hundley. And Jackson, a spirited defender, has to be helped away.
Collier quickly signaling in defenses from the sideline, but Collier likes to use 20 defensive players in rotation. Can't get them on and off the field when a quick count, quick signals in effect.
Morris again to the 46-yard line. A gain of 4 or 5. Ricky Hundley with a tackle. It's short of the first down by about 4 yards.
And there very quickly. Collier ordinarily will wait until the signals come into the quarterback, but not so here.
Boy, talk about action. About 10 seconds between plays. Sims says, someone get open. And out of bounds he goes, and I believe he has a first down at the Denver 49. He needed 5, and he's right at 5.
Man-to-man coverage down the field, and Sims is waving his receiver, said, make that man decide. Either I'll run for it, or you get open and I'll throw it to you. Right now, you're going to wonder, well, he is looking to the sideline. I've got to believe they had scripted some of the early plays. There's your Giant defense. Bill Belichick going over things with his linebackers and his secondary.
But the key now is the offense, and the fact you're right, Merlin, it'll be interesting to see how long they can go with that no huddle.
I got to tell you, you're going to get tired at this rate. Both teams, offense and defense.
So the scramble by Sims enough for the first down. That's Roussan in motion. Sims dumps it off to O.J. Anderson, and he's to the 46-yard line on the slip. Anderson acquired from the St. Louis Cardinals.
Well, it looks like they're finally going to huddle. Maybe we'll have a chance for a 10-minute ticker.
Cincinnati leading Minnesota 7-3 in the first, and the Steelers take the 7-0 lead against the Browns. Indianapolis, an early field goal, and Detroit leading Tampa Bay 7-0. Jeff Hostetler, number 15, the third-string quarterback, is the man closest to you, a wide receiver left. And that's Roussan struggling to get back to the 45-yard line, a 1-yard gain. Hostetler from West Virginia. Now, they may be setting up something here, using him wide. Maybe they'll bring him back and have a double pass here.
Either that or just throw it out to him and let him throw the double pass. Anytime a second quarterback is in there, you've got to ask that question, why is he there? Dick, that on that last play, Roussan slipped on the play. That's twice that Giant backs have slipped on this artificial turf and fallen of their own accord.
Another third down, and Sims has converted 2 on this drive. One with a pass, one by a scramble. Going deep. Tony Galbraith, who has caught more passes than any running back in NFL history. And he did have a step, but a tough throw for Sims. He had to lay that one up, and it was just a bit long. Had worked his way a step in the open, but a tough throw. 4th down, and the Giants with Hostetler under center and Landetta, the punter, in motion. Look at this. And they give to Roussan, and he has the first down. Oh, my.
Dan Reeves is going to say, hey, you're taking your pages right out of my book. There's Roussan heading upfield, and a gutsy call as he picks up the first down. But you're in an area of the field where you're not going to lose that much. That's, again, a vote of confidence for Bill Parcells' defense.
Now, they've made 2 third-down conversions and a 4th-down conversion on this drive. 3-0 Denver, 2:29 left in the opening quarter. Complete down to the 26-yard line as Sims goes to Carthen, his fullback. Carthen, who was a blocker for Herschel Walker, carried the ball pretty well himself on this field for the New Jersey Generals of the USFL. Played his college ball at Arkansas State.
Have to kind of chuckle. Bill Parcells yesterday said that this Denver team kind of reminded him of a Canadian football team, all those tricks. And here he is with the package opened up today.
That did look like a CFL play, didn't
it? Sure did.
That play out of punt formation or in a punt situation. Sims to Morris. It's a first down at the Denver 15-yard line. This has been an intriguing drive by the Giants.
Interesting drive, and you have to kind of feel that by going as they did without the snap count, they kind of got this Denver defense out of sequence. They've got things moving in their direction. Nice play by Morris as he comes back in front of Steve Foley, number 43, to take that pass and pick up the first down.
Little Joe, but he's just short Joe. He's hardly a little man. He's 5'7", so doesn't have the height, but he has 195 pounds. So if you put that kind of body form on a 6-footer, he'd be about a 220-pound running back.
I have to tell you something else about his running style. Has great vision and good acceleration, patience, the kinds of things you like out of a running back, and that low center of gravity and good leg power make him extremely difficult to tackle.
That kid brother, Jamie, at the University of Michigan, a junior running back, looks like out of the same mold. Morris again, tripped up on a good play by Ricky Hundley, who had knifed through from his linebacker spot. Got an early piece of it.
There you see the wholesale changes. 4 players in and 4 off for Joe Collier, 5 off and 5 in for Collier's defense.
That's what the Giants were trying to deny him doing in that early part of this drive. Look at Collier, animated with all those signals.
He's not excited, folks. Those are his defensive signals going into his team on the field.
He could win a cheerleading scholarship at the University of Colorado. Whoa, Morris, and it's Hundley again. No, this time 90, Freddie Gilbert from the University of Georgia, who comes in as one of those nickel defenders.
He's in there predominantly as a pass rusher, and I think was blitzing across, thinking pass all the way, but was quick enough. There on the left side of your screen, number 90. Look at him sneaking inside. He got in clean and was quick enough to get across and grab Joe Morris before he could get started.
And that play ends the first quarter. So when we come back, it'll be Raul Alegre. They're very happy with a man from the University of Texas trying to tie it up for the Giants. But that's the end of the first period here at Giants Stadium in East Rutherford.
We always enjoy being able to honor one of our own, and the Sportscasters Association did that for us last Tuesday here in New York as Dick Enberg, my partner, was honored again as America's outstanding sportscaster. Dick, I know I can tell you on behalf of all of those at NBC that work with you, from Art Watson to Mike Weissman, right on down through the whole team, how proud we are of you.
Well, it's a team win. Here goes the field goal try by Alegre to start the second quarter, and the Giants have tied it up at 3-all. 31 yards for Alegre. And with that, this is what's really important in our lives. We have a commercial break. It's tied at 3-all, early second quarter. Well, small colleges have produced the 2 quarterbacks in the Big Apple, and both very successful. Morehead State, Kentucky sent Phil Simms to the Giants, and UC Davis, Ken O'Brien to the Jets, who are 10-1 and ready to meet the Dolphins down in Miami tomorrow night. Alegre to kick, Bell on the far side, and Lang near side for Denver. 3-all. Good deep kick. Lang, oh, he's going to take it out. That's quite a gamble, and he loses at the 7-yard line. Solomon Miller got him. Now Denver will start deep in its own end. A hesitation by Lang and a gamble that was not warranted.
Simply a mistake. I think the whole Denver return team assumed that he was going to stay in there. In fact, you saw players letting up. Lang, who has been hurt for part of the season, simply made the bad choice.
Giant crowd comes to life. Elway, a safety valve to his tight end, Mobley. George Martin, number 75, made the tackle to make that Clarence Kay the tight end, who has a reception for 2 yards.
Dan Reeves, I'm sure, talking to Elway about not throwing the interception, not making the mistake. There's the rushing I talked to you about. So far, a negative rushing yardage for the Broncos. The Giants not with a spectacular game, but better balance. Pretty even. Pretty darn even, as a matter of fact.
But so much pressure on this man, Elway. Screen. And Winder fighting his way across the 20-yard line. Gary Reason's 55, finally dragging him down. First down, Denver here in East Rutherford. Let's go to NFL 86 and Ahmad Rashad.
All right, in New England, the Patriots' Craig James takes it 4 yards here for the score. New England leads 9-0 in the first quarter against the Bills, who have lost 21 straight on the road.
All right, Ahmad, 3-all here. Denver digging its way out of the shadows at its own end with a first down at the 21 on the screen pass. That's Mobley resetting on the left side. Now in motion. Oh! Trying to lead through the hole, but Harry Carson. Has a new book on the market called Point of Attack. I asked Harry Carson, what's it about? He said about $16.95 at your local bookstore. He and Lawrence Taylor, great pair of backers, and Carl Banks appears to be fitting in very nicely in that all-pro Giant mold. Second down, 8.5. Mobley at the 26 for about 4. Carl Banks there for the Giants. All Big Tenor out of Flint, Michigan, then to Michigan State, and the #1 pick of the Giants in '84.
Dick, in the 3-4 defense, you'd expect your linebackers to be your leading tacklers. That does not always happen. But for this Giant team, it clicks right down. They're 4 leading tacklers. They're 4 starting linebackers. The 2 at the top of the list, Lawrence Taylor and Carl Banks.
3rd and 5. And a flag down. You saw the hold. Leonard Marshall putting pressure on Elway.
Billy Bryan just couldn't keep him out of there and had to grab a hold and hook him. And there's another flag on the sideline.
Dan Reeves out on the field arguing.
64 Denver. Penalties decline. 4th down.
You could see it all the way from our booth as Marshall will go inside right here and just drive his way past Bryan. And Bryan knows that he's gone. Look at him. He's got to hook him. And he'll drag him and finally turn him loose. But the official, looking from behind, simply says, son, I got to throw the flag on you.
You can go to a disco and not see people that close. And Reeves was arguing about something that happened in front of him. I think he felt that his receiver had been knocked down illegally.
Well, quite possibly arguing about something else, but I think it's going to cost him again.
On the bench, penalties decline. It's 4th down.
Both penalties decline. 2 majors, an unsportsmanlike and a holding, because the Giants want the ball, and Dan Reeves is furious.
Uncharacteristic of Reeves, who really works at holding his composure on the sideline.
42-year-old Reeves, the former Cowboy star from the University of South Carolina. There's Bill Parcells. He says, I want the 15 on the unsportsmanlike. We don't have to decline that. That's a dead ball foul. Linebacker at Wichita State. The Lions drafted him.
Unsportsmanlike conduct on the Denver bench. 4th down.
Yeah, you have to mark that one off. That isn't a matter of saving it down.
It's already 4th down when Reeves goes out onto the field, technically.
So Chris Norman comes in, and his punting has been somewhat suspicious. He had one blocked last week against the Chiefs.
One blocked earlier in the year, saved by a penalty against Seattle. They'll come after him here, I think, especially deep in his own territory.
McConkey deep at the Giant 45. Short, dying spiral. A kind roll for Denver to the Giant 48. but nevertheless only a 39-yard punt.
Even if you don't get the punt, you can create enough fear in a punter that he'll kick it high and short.
So with 12:22 left in the first half here at Giants Stadium, it's tied at 3. From Giants Stadium, today's game is brought to you by Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? By Braun Electric Shavers. Braun, designed to perform better. And by Magnavox, developing new technologies for your entertainment. Nobody puts it together like Magnavox. Dick Enberg and Merlin Olsen at Giants Stadium. Phil Simms trying to hit his wide receiver Bobby Johnson, and I believe we have a defensive hold against the Broncos. No, it's the other way. That's something that the officials have interpreted differently the last few years. Remember, it used to be the wide receiver get away with murder, and now they're looking at what he does with his hands as well.
It used to be you could punch out those defensive backs, and they'd say, oh, it was an accident.
Pass interference, number 88 offense, first down.
So 10 yards back to the Giant 38-yard line against Johnson, wide receiver from Kansas. He has 22 catches this year, 4 for touchdowns. He's been a big touchdown producer for the Giants, although not catching a lot of passes, a high percentage for scores. In fact, in the 3 years counting this one, he has 19 touchdown passes. Morris hit by Steve Wilson in a defensive back position at the 44-yard line. Let's check other scores. Well, they're having some fun in Cincinnati with Esiason against Kramer, 14-10 in the first quarter. Pittsburgh at Cleveland, 7-0. A big game for the Browns, fighting with Cincinnati for first in the AFC Central. New England, as you just heard, James with a touchdown to give them a 9-0 lead against Buffalo. Houston a touchdown over Indianapolis, and Tampa Bay hits on a field goal at home. Here it's 3-all, 11:45 left in the first half. On second and long, and Joe Morris into Denver territory to the 46-yard line, where it'll be third and 4. 10 yards for Morris.
Gradually eating at that long yardage situation, and now into a manageable situation. Morris, again, the amazing thing about him is his consistency. Not a good week last week, but that probably as much as anything because of the game plan against the Vikes.
Driving, but maybe a half-yard shy of the first down. The Broncos brought up Dennis Smith from a safety spot to finish him off. Gilbert was there as well. There's Smith, lanky defender, 6'3". You don't see many safety men with his height, but he's got great leaping ability and speed to go with it.
Tremendous penetration in there as we turn it. Watch it, just turn it loose and watch Ken Woodard, number 52. Now stop it right there. There's Woodard taking on 2 people right in the middle of the defense and stacking them up, forcing Morris outside and then breaking off and getting part of the tackle. Tremendous play by number 52, Ken Woodard.
And the Giants have called time to think this one over. 4th and 1 at the Broncos 43. Bill Parcells will go for it on 4th down again. He has been very active on 4th down, shows his confidence in his offense. 8 for 12. That's a lot of 4th down conversions as a comparison against the Giants. The opponents have only tried it once, 0 for 1 all year.
I don't blame him.
He tries for the 13th time. 4th and 1.
They may have been audible. No.
That's what they're looking for, the offside and the contact.
They're saying he made contact. I think he did. They're simply trying to draw them off sides in that situation. That's a deliberate attempt. I think I would throw the flag on the quarterback who made a quick move out of there.
Tom Jackson is arguing. Let's look at it again. Bill Parcells wants a first down on the penalty, and the Broncos want their own penalty called.
On the far side, there's the quick move, and you see the contact made on the far side of the line. The defensive man can move in there as long as he gets back, but if he touches someone, it's an automatic penalty. but the quarterback is not allowed to make a deliberate hard move out of there with the attempt to draw the defense off sides. 2 men should have been ticketed. I'd call it penalty both ways and throw 2 flags in the air.
Well, there's the third consideration. That's delay of game, and that's the 5 yards that the Giants receive.
Well, that was one tactical gamble by Parcells that didn't play.
Now, we can't tell from this angle whether contact was made. It was Tom Jackson, the linebacker, and he may have been far enough outside that he crawled back without hitting anyone. Landeta aiming this one toward the near corner. Great looking kick. Nope, his foot was on the line, and then the ball squirts into the end zone anyway. So the Broncos will get it at the 20 as Greg Lasker, the rookie from Arkansas, almost saved it inside the 1. Timeout. 3-all at Giants Stadium in the second. Well, Sean Landeta narrowly missing. His punt being downed at the 1-yard line. Denver receives it on the touchback of the 20. Boy, this young man out of Towson State of Maryland, kicked in the USFL with the Stars. He has been a bonus for the Giants.
Got to love the fact that he gets them long and consistent, and also the fact he gets such great hang time. Dick, we talked about the very complex nature of the Bronco defense. The Giant defense at the other end of the spectrum. Basically a very conservative defense. Much more physical defense than is the Bronco defense. And that's exhibited partly in their size and also their approach to the game. They're going to line up on you. There's Bill Belichick on the other side. He calls the defensive signals, and he says basically, we're going to line up, tell you what we're going to do, but then we're going to do it.
You've got to block us away from it.
That's right. You got to push us out of our defense.
Where the Broncos will try to trick you, fool you, slant, tricks, various defensive positions. Sammy Winder. Carl Banks greets him. Winder from Southern Mississippi, again the leading rusher for the Broncos. He's 10th best in the NFL with 640 yards coming in. And in this first half, the Broncos with a goose egg compared to the Giants' 51 yards rushing. But where it counts, 3-all on the board.
I still think that will come back to haunt them at the end of the day. They've got to get some running going here, or that Giant pass rush is going to start telling on Elway.
The tight end at the 35, the 40, and the big guy all the way to the 48-yard line from Salem College of West Virginia, Orson Mobley.
When I talked to the Giant defensive coaches about this Denver offense, I said, what do they miss most? Is it the big running back, the power back? And they said, no, it's the great pass-catching tight end. Well, the Giants are hopeful that this man, Orson Mobley, can become that kind of target for Elway. Does a good job on that play. You can see how big he is. He is a giant. But they have not had the great pass-catching tight end, and that really hurts them.
Mobley is 6'5" and 256 pounds. Oh. Gene Lang to the 49-yard line. It's 3-all here at Giant Stadium. Let's check on other scores. Ahmad Rashad, NFL 86.
All right, Dick, in Houston, the Oilers score on this 4-yard pass from Warren Moon to Alan Pinkett, the former Notre Dame running back. They lead the hapless Colts 10-3 in the second quarter. And by the way, the Colts haven't won since beating Houston last year.
Clarence Kay, we told you he was suspended by Dan Reeves last week for persistent tardiness. And he is injured now, and that's perhaps why we're seeing Orson Mobley. Mobley played last week, and they may have found the tight end they're looking for, the Broncos. A timeout, 8 minutes, 27 seconds remaining in the first half. Still working on the hand of tight end Clarence Kay. John Elway, meanwhile, uses this break to talk with his head coach Dan Reeves. We're in the second quarter, tied 3-all. The ball just across the 50-yard line into Giants territory. And there are the instant photographs taken upstairs of the Giant defenses, then hustled down to Joe Collier, the defensive genius of these Broncos. Been around a long time, and a man who I wouldn't want to play a card game with him. He remembers everything, and he'll try anything to beat you. That's what he's looking at, try to determine just how the Giants line up. Now, Gerald Wilhite, the leading receiver for the Broncos this year, is in the game, and he's way out to the left, out of your picture. Watson in motion. 2nd down and 8. They're coming with the linebackers. Winder tackled for a loss by Carson. The Broncos lose about 4.
Try and get that isolation back on the backer, but it didn't pay off there.
Chicago on only a safety against Green Bay at home. Third down and 12 at the Denver 46.5. Elway trying to find Mark Jackson or Wilhite. They were both in the pattern. Wilhite short and Jackson deep, and Elway couldn't find either. But he did an excellent job of reading the rush. Stepped inside a corner blitz by Patterson.
I can't remember a quarterback who is more nimble and aware of what's happening in the pocket. And we asked Dan Reeves yesterday, how many sacks would you have if you had an immobile quarterback? He said, don't ask me that kind of question. They've only been sacked 25 times on the season. I think that number would easily double with an immobile quarterback.
McConkey inside the 15. Wobbler to the 14. Woodard wraps up McConkey after a 2-yard return. 40 yards on the punt. And with it a timeout. We're at the midpoint of the 2nd quarter at Giants Stadium on a beautiful November football afternoon. Giants jerseys with a reminder, memoriam to Spider Lockhart, former defensive back. It's been a rough 4 or 5 years in the Giant organization. They lost a fine and popular assistant coach Bob Ledbetter, a former running back Doug Kotar as well. 1st down. That's a reflection of the Giants' better running game thus far. 3-3 the score. Giants start from there, 16.5. Joe Morris caught from behind. Lewis Wright met the play, but it was Tony Colorado, number 69, who got to him first, a former star at the University of Southern California.
We talked about the shifting of the Denver defense. Now watch them. They'll come out. They'll line up this way. Now watch the 2 ends. Just before the snap, both of them will shift inside. Both linebackers will shift. So they give you an entirely different look. Sims now has seen one thing, and now he's looking at an entirely different defense.
That's a good example of one of the many tricks in Collier's defensive book. This time he puts 9 men on the line of scrimmage. Sims underneath to Carthen, and it's Colorado again who makes the tackle back-to-back. Hundley got to him first, but Colorado, who is playing near his hometown, he went to high school over in Brooklyn, plays classical music, and fine student as well. He was an academic second-team All-America at SC. Ball at the 20. 3rd down and 6. Of McConkey at the 36-yard line as Sims was being pressured by Rulon Jones. Well, if you stick around after we go to Ahmad Rashad, we're going to show you a balloon. No, what is that? We're not going to show you the balloon. No, we're not going to go to Ahmad Rashad. And now we're not even going to show you the balloon.
There was a balloon on the field. I saw it, Dick.
Landetta will kick it to Gerald Wilhite back at the 35. Ooh, very close was Randy Robbins to the block. Wilhite, ever a stumbler, to the 38-yard line.
Stumbled his way to a 70-yard return last week for a touchdown. Wilhite, a gymnast. Here is Landeta. All the pressure in the world from the left-hand side. You'll see the man fly by him. Robbins go by right there, just fingertips away from a block on that particular play.
Landeta with a 49-yard punt, 7 yards on the return as Robbins thinks about what almost happened. And Landeta says, hey, that was too close.
He also said the snap was high, forced me out of my rhythm. You see him talking to the center there.
Now let's see what the Broncos do on first down. Leonard Marshall was there first, and Jim Burt finished the job.
Well, we talked about wanted men, about putting those quarterbacks down. Been a while coming, but the Giants finally get there. Marshall grabs the shoulder of Elway. Burt there to polish him off, and all of Elway's ideas about getting out of that one quickly disappeared.
I don't know how they'll divide up that sack. Probably a half apiece, wouldn't you think?
I think the first man gets it. It'll be Marshall's sack.
On second and long, Elway to Watson, and it's through the veteran's hands. He won't drop many of those, and that was a picture of patience by Elway. With blue shirts swarming around, he was able to set himself in gun and had his man open.
Leonard Marshall will go all the way around behind. Stuttered 70, working man to man, keeping Marshall away. That's actually a situation where they want to keep Elway in the pocket. Now, they said there are two kinds of approaches to Elway. We'll box him in, make him stay in that pocket, and we'll also try and force him out and then get somebody to chase him. That's the case where they simply said, we're going to keep you in that pocket, make you throw. I don't know if that's such a good idea or not.
Elway wants time on 3rd and 19. 5:26 remaining in the first half. Phil Simms waiting his turn. John Elway called time on 3rd and 19. Make sure that the call was in agreement. Running out of time in this first half. Only 5.5 minutes left before the intermission. Stay tuned for NFL 86 at halftime. We'll have all the scores and the highlights for you, as well as Ensign McCallum talking about his Navy NFL experience. How he can work 2 jobs in one. Down the middle to Jackson, and that is going to be rolled a fumble. Kenny Hill has it. Ball whistle dead, back where Hill fell on the football as they ripped it away from Jackson. Giants get it at the 43.
Elway, under great pressure from Marshall, able to get that pass on target. Catch made, both feet down. The end of the play now as Jackson makes the cut right here, and Elway has that ball in the air. Jackson will go up and make the catch. Watch his feet come down. Got both feet on the ground. And then, before he can hit the ground, the ball is stripped away. Fine defensive play. An alert pounce by Hill, and the Giants have an opportunity offensively.
Credit 23 Perry Williams for forcing the fumble, the first turnover of the game. Simms off play action. Down the middle and wide open. Fumble, and that's the Broncos who recover. Stacy Robinson fumbles, and for the Broncos, it's covered by Ricky Hundley.
Well, in the turnover department, both teams playing error-free over the first quarter, and now we have back-to-back turnovers.
Steve Foley was the man who made the hit on Robinson. Dan Reeves, every time we've talked to him before a game this year, I guess we've done them 4 or 5 times, this is what he talks about. We have to be plus turnover sack table. He combines the 2 statistics. He wants to be positive in both.
Watch it again, and obviously again. Legitimate catch, and the ball stripped away before the receiver hit the ground. Boy, that's good swarming defense by both these defensive teams.
Broncos get it back just about where they were when Elway's pass was complete and then fumbled. Winder across the 30-yard line. Suddenly the man that recovered the fumble, he's hanging on to it. Jim Burt in on the tackle, number 64 for the Giants, and he probably stretches that jersey as tightly as anyone in the NFL. There it is. He's got that pulled so wide, the 6 and 4 are almost under the rib cage. He said that he learned a lesson his first game as a rookie, lined up against Mike Webster of the Steelers, the all-pro center. Said by the time he got through pulling and tugging and undressing me, he said, I'm not going to give anyone anything extra to hang on to. And he said, that's when I decided to strip it up like that.
Well, of course, it started with the defensive lineman putting that kind of gear on, and then the offensive lineman, of course, starting to use it, and then it's come back now as they've allowed the holding by the offensive lineman. You don't want to give them anything to get their hands on. But it used to be the first time I ever saw it done was by the offensive lineman. I think John Wilbur, then with the Cowboys, the first I ever saw to lace that jersey down.
Second down, about 6.5. Elway, too tall. Vance Johnson, who is playing today without a knee brace. He had arthroscopic surgery on that right knee after the first few games of the year and has been wearing a brace, and he's decided he's just not had his full speed. He wants to go without it today.
Again, the Giants opting to force Elway to stay in that pocket. That means they're not going to get as much pressure on him, but they feel that he's much more effective when he's running out of that pocket, when he's creating plays, than he is when he's playing within the framework of the offense.
3rd and 6. Elway running for a first down and has it at the 41-yard line. Byron Hunt, the linebacker from SMU, got him down, but not until Elway had scrambled for 10. Lawrence Taylor had him for a moment.
You might ask, wasn't he in the grasp? Well, there's another word to go with it. Grasp and control. Taylor from the right side. Watch him. They've got a stun on. Breaks clean. No chance. But Elway, with good strength and quickness, gets outside. Byron Hunt's going to show you some speed here. We haven't seen Elway run down from behind many times.
First down at the 41. That's about the longest run of the game for the Broncos, underneath the Winder at the 47-yard line. That was indeed Joe Costanza, our master statistician, confirming that Elway's 10-yard scramble, the best run of the first half for Denver. Well, two defensive teams who have posted 9-2 records. And it's been played that way. The defense is dominant. Second and a short 5, and Elway going for a bundle to Johnson. And there's the flag against Perry Williams.
Elway doing a good job of getting that ball out high and long. The Giants on that play were trying to get the heat on Elway. Coming quickly with a lot of bodies upfield. Elway threw it early and hung it deep. Here's the end of that play, and there's the contact right there. No question that Williams dropping that shoulder in, knocking the receiver out, not making an attempt to go at that football. Of course, that one's not hard to throw the flag on.
Had he been turning when that contact, looking at the ball, he might have gotten away with the call, but he pushed first, then turned, and it becomes the longest play of the entire game. 38-yard penalty. First down, 15. Broncos in position to take the lead.
A little confusion. Elway had too many receivers going to his left.
Fake reverse. And incomplete. Winder was out of bounds. Well, that did not fool the Giants. And while Elway seemed to have a world of time, no one could break open. Other scores, the Bears on a safety. That's been it. 21-17, Cincinnati and Minnesota, in contrast, in a high-scoring affair. 14-all, Pittsburgh at Cleveland. Those two longtime rivals. New England leads 12-0, trying to go 9-3. Houston by a touchdown over Indianapolis at home, and Detroit opens a bigger lead at Tampa Bay. 2nd and 10. Beautiful Giants Stadium. 50-degree day. Watson was the closest Bronco. Here's a man that's open. Ahmad Rashad.
All right, Dick, in Cleveland, the Steelers' Walter Abercrombie takes the pitch, goes around right in for 38 yards for the score, his second on the day. They're midway through the second quarter, and it's all tied at 14-all. But, Dick, what about the balloon?
Well, we got them all ready for when you make the announcement, Ahmad Rashad. I know you're on pins and needles at this point, waiting for the arrival of the new one. We wish Phyllis and Ahmad and the Rashads the best. On the reverse to Johnson. Now he's looking for Elway. He's covered. Johnson will just throw that one away wisely. The closest player was Lawrence Taylor. Now the Giants not fooled by that trick play as Vance Johnson, and they were looking for Elway, and Leonard Marshall, number 70, the defensive end, played his position well. Elway came that way, and Marshall was right on him.
Gets a little hand slap, little high five in the huddle. Of course, the Raiders were not ready for that play in the opening game of the season, and Elway scored on a 23-yard reception. The Giants say, hey, you get us on that first time, okay, but we saw the film too.
32-yard field goal by Carlos, and it is good. So Carlos is 2 for 2, and the Broncos lead 6-3. Yeah, what are you going to do on Thanksgiving, Merlin?
Well, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm going to be in an area where they're going to be sliding down the slopes, and I think you're going to do the same thing.
Well, no, but first, no, wait, don't get on the ski slopes. We'll get to Vail later, but first we got to go to Dallas, and there are no slopes there, at least immediately. We're going to see Seattle and Dallas at 3:30 Eastern Time, and we hope you'll spend part of your holiday with us as we enjoy that turkey brisket that they have down there at Texas Stadium.
Always been an exciting opportunity to share a Thanksgiving dinner with folks all across this country, Dick.
Well, the Seahawks have fallen on tough times, losing 4 in a row, and Dallas has that remarkable record of not only winning on Thanksgiving, but then winning the next week as well. In fact, it's now starting to stir up some discontent in the NFC East. The Giants and Washington saying, hey, maybe some of the rest of us ought to have that Thanksgiving home game. Yeah, we'll see. John Elway, aided by the 38-yard interference penalty, able to get the Broncos in tight. And Carlos converts from 32 yards out to give Denver a 6-3 lead.
There didn't figure to be that many offensive opportunities, and we talked about the structure and the hard-nosed nature of these two defenses. So far, they have come far and few between. The Broncos getting a couple of chances for field goals, converting twice. Of course, the Giants converting on their opportunity as well.
McConkey, short kick, 12-yard line. 25. And he's out to the 33. Tough little kid, that McConkey, hardly a kid, 27. Out of the Naval Academy, a helicopter pilot. He says people ask to compare catching punts to flying a helicopter. He says, if I make a mistake on a punt, it's a fumble. Maybe we lose possession. I made a mistake trying to land that helicopter in the back of a destroyer at night in rough seas. The considerations were much more serious. A reminder to our viewers that we'll be selecting, of course, our Budweiser most valuable player at the conclusion of today's game. Tony Galbraith fumbles, and Louis Wright has it for Denver. Had the whistle sounded.
Well, so far we have no signal.
Now they signal Denver's ball.
And there it is, the second turnover for the Broncos. Both teams coming into this game with positive numbers on the turnover table. And Tony Galbraith can't believe that that ball was not whistled dead. Let's go back and look at the play. Watch it as it develops. Galbraith, little take the handoff out of the shotgun. Ball carried rather loosely left hand. 77 Mecklenburg strips in at that arm. Watch him stripping, jerking on that arm. Let's see if we can see the pot there. Football already had popped out of there. Well, and had gone. It looked like the football broke loose before anyone touched the ground. Perhaps another angle might help. I believe they're reviewing it upstairs.
is at the 41-yard line of the Giants, and at least for the moment in possession of the Broncos. Galbraith was arguing that he thought the whistle should have blown the ball dead. It obviously was out of his grasp before he hit the ground. It was a matter of whether or not a whistle had sounded, and apparently the officials on the field would have known that. Nick Skorich is the instant replay official today on the far right.
I think that's the kind of play, though, that you simply have to say no visual proof to declare otherwise.
Tough to see the ball. There's so many players
you
there.
You see the ball right there rolling away, and it obviously is quite a distance from Galbraith. I think it was a good choice. Back to live action.
Elway firing complete to Johnson inside the 25-yard line. It is a catch and 19 more yards. Vance Johnson with an excellent reception, skidding low as we approach, and we'll have the 2-minute timeout. So a couple of turnovers. The Broncos able to stop the Giants after they had fumbled, got it back, went on to a field goal. They have it again, driving with a lead.
All right, Ahmad Rashad here in New York. And in Cleveland, the Browns' Bernie Kosar hits Ozzie Newsome, the consummate tight end, who was wide open on this 21-yard touchdown. The Browns lead 21-14, second quarter.
Denver leading 6-3 here at Giants Stadium with 2 minutes left in the second quarter. And a first down, Broncos at the New York Giant 23. Draw play to Winder. Good call, and he has nearly 10 more inside the 15. Lawrence Taylor in on the tackle.
Broncos love to put their tight ends in motion. Watch it right here. Tight end is going to come in inside and fake the block. It's going to look like the trap and then go on through the block. They're going to hand the ball off in here, going to start up inside and then run the draw play. Actually, a way of finessing Jim Burt. Burt thinks it's going to come his way, and they just turn him out of there. Smart play, influence play, one run beautifully by the Broncos.
Giants use a timeout with 1:27 remaining in the first half. It's 6-3, and Denver sits on the Giant 15-yard line. Second down, a long one at the Giant 15. Play action for Elway, and incomplete to Johnson. And Lawrence Taylor not pressuring the quarterback that time, but playing a tough defensive position in front of Johnson.
Again, the Giants electing to give Elway a little time and cover his receivers, make him throw from that pocket, as opposed to trying to spring him and knock him out of there and let him throw on the run.
Harry Carson, who had gone out for one play, has returned to his linebacker position for the Giants.
Quick okay by trainer Ronnie Barnes, and he's back into the action.
Third and a yard and a half. I don't think he got enough. Little quarterback draw. George Martin right there, the veteran defensive end.
Interesting selection of plays as Elway faked a little step out of there to his left and just stepped back inside. They didn't need a lot, Dick, and I think he got about a yard, but I believe they're going to measure it. Watch Elway step toward the camera here and then drive back inside, just trying to set up the blocks for his offensive linemen. I'll tell you the one thing you've got to love about Elway. He'll do anything to help his team win a game. And it's a risk that Dan Reeves knows is very real, because it means that often he puts his body in a situation where he can be injured.
Big measurement. Indeed, he got enough. Yeah, the Bears add to that safety by Hampton. Scoring fest in Cincinnati has the Bengals up 5-4, and Cleveland at home now leads by a touchdown. New England 2-touchdown plus lead. Houston by a touch, and Detroit 14-3 at the half.
A real good test for the Giant defense. They're back to the wall in this situation.
1:05 remaining in the half. Intercepted by George Martin. He's going to go all the way if Elway can't get him. 20. Martin has a touchdown. is George Martin's 7th touchdown, 6 from a defensive position, an NFL record, 78 yards. Talk about big plays. That was a huge play for the New York Giants.
And what a dramatic turnaround. It appeared that the Denver Broncos were going to have a chance to add to their lead, and suddenly George Martin jumped up and bit him.
A leg raise, point after. 10-6 New York.
The interesting thing to me, Dick, about that run is that Martin wanted to lateral the ball. He didn't want to keep it as he headed down the sideline.
He had Lawrence Taylor behind him.
He had Taylor behind him. Here's the little fake outside. They're trying to just throw it to the out man here. Little flare outside. Martin jumps up. Great one-handed grab.
He was a basketball player at Oregon.
Now look at this. He wants to lateral the football. He's trying to lateral it to Lawrence Taylor. Elway gets a hold of him, and he just runs out of that block. Now Taylor says, well, you're going to carry it. Let me get a block for you. Billy Bryant, 64 down there, and gets one block. There's a second block down there. And Martin, without benefit of a gas station, carried it into the end zone.
The fans here at Giants Stadium roaring as they watch the instant replay. The Giants were one of only 11 NFL teams through the first 11 games not to get a touchdown on a return, make that one of 9, and now they've added theirs to the list of those who have scored on either an interception or a punt or kick return or a fumble.
We'll show you another shot of that after the kick. What a dramatic play. What an emotional turnaround. And there's so much noise here, and now all of a sudden a stop, and the ball dropped right off the tee.
Well, it's at least a 10-point play, maybe a 14-point play.
Well, and the thing that it does, Dick, is to turn the emotion around in the stadium, and certainly to carry a different emotion into both locker rooms here at the half. That's the big impact.
Lang will take it out. And it's a good return to the 30-yard line for Gene Lang. Let's go back to George Martin's play. 78 yards for Martin. He played with Lonnie Shelton basketball at the University of Oregon. And look at the great reflexes. Batting the ball, much like denying the pass inside. And Lawrence Taylor now, he says, come on, Lawrence, I'll give it to you. But Elway interfered, but Elway just like water off a duck's back.
Harry Carson down there for one block. Collins for another block. Mark Collins. There were 3 excellent blocks thrown on that run.
Only one who could tackle Martin was his own teammate, Taylor. He can even hit his own guys. So instead of a possible 13-3 lead for Denver, it's 10-6 the other way. Flags go down as Wilhite out of bounds with 31 seconds showing.
Could possibly again be offensive interference from the angle it was thrown.
Against the Giants.
Against the Giants.
Let's go back. Here's Denver inside the 15. Should they score a touchdown, and there'd be very little time left on the clock, it could have been 13-3 Denver at the half. Martin's play turns it totally around, and it's the Giants 10-6 with only 31 seconds left.
Well, that's the kind of thing that...
Number 34, defense, first down.
Elvis Patterson getting the call. That's the kind of thing a good defense can do for you. And we have to say that's the kind of thing that Denver's defense has done for them so many times. Backed up against the wall, forcing the turnover, taking the ball away. But, of course, in this sack, in this situation, the big plus, the points that go on the board at the other end of the field.
Lang, that little shovel pass, flag down. Lang is tackled at the 47-yard line, and now timeout on the penalty. Let's see if it counts.
We may have a holding call on Kenny Lanier, thrown from the far side.
Motion against Denver.
Yeah.
And now only 26 seconds.
Illegal motion, 76 offense, first down.
That was Lanier. You had the right guy.
Well, he's trying to get his man off the ball. They want that defensive end to move He actually did have a hold of him after the fact, but they called him for the movement rather than the holding.
Watson left. Johnson slotted left. Jackson to the right side. Floats it out to Lang, who breaks a tackle but doesn't get out of bounds. Clock is still running at the 45-yard line.
Here. 12 seconds, 11.
And now they call time with 10. Yeah, I was surprised there. Lang was right on the sidelines. Could have dipped out of bounds, but did not.
Well, Dick, that's a recent poll conducted by sports writers specifically about the quarterbacks. That's something they rated Elway down and was touch. But he certainly threw that one with nice touch.
Yeah, Sport Magazine currently has a rating of all NFL quarterbacks. They have Jim McMahon rated first and Elway second. They said that if Elway had scored higher on the touch pass, he would easily have been number one. But I have a feeling if you today had each of the 28 coaches in the league, head coaches, vote for the quarterback they'd like most, I don't think McMahon would win it. I do think Elway might.
I think you're being kind. Jim McMahon, with his great talent, of course, not making himself a very popular member of his Chicago Bear team, and certainly not Mike Ditka's favorite on that team by any means.
Yeah, he might not even get his own head coach's vote. 10 seconds left. Second down and 1. Ball at the 45. Denver could go for one perhaps long out and try to get into deep field goal range.
Now, the one vote you get about Elway from most coaches is the fact that he can make big things happen. He can lift a team by himself. Not many quarterbacks can do that.
Giants a very loose deep defense. There is that long out, and it's complete to Johnson, who goes out of bounds. He had possession when he went out of bounds. The ball was knocked free after he had left the field of play, a 24-yard play, and that's exactly what Denver does. Go to the deep out, 4 seconds left, and here comes Carlos to try a long field goal.
How many quarterbacks in the NFL can throw that pass? It's a short list, believe me.
It'll be 48 or 49 yards, so it'll be a 48-yard field goal attempt by Carlos, who's 2 for 2, as you can see, in this first half.
No.
Short. And the Giants have the momentum going into that dressing room. And there's the man who gave it to him. A spectacular one-handed interception by George Martin. And then even more surprisingly, he rumbles 78 yards. The Giants lead at the hands of coaches.